they're not even giving a reason for his absence.
No, not
Which
at all.
I think that bugs me more than anything from a storyline point of view.
No, that's true. That's true. All right. Let's get it started anyway, man. We can speak on that a bit. So welcome, all you wrestling fans, to the 16th episode of the Pop-Up Powerbomb podcast. I'm your host, Breathtaking Bud Spooky. I'm a co-host here tonight, the Cerebral Paul. Tonight, wrestling fans, we share our thoughts on Vince backing away from creative, finally, by the seams of things, and Triple H fully taking over. There's been a bit of an update on the future of AEW's Fight Forever video game. A new GM of SmackDown that I know very well, and anybody that's followed the indie scene or NWA knows very well, Nick Aldis, and more. So I hope everybody's got their nice cold beverages and snacks. And everyone, get ready for some story time with the breathtaking one and the cerebral one, baby. All right, see Six Slayer in the chat, of course. Welcome in, brother. Always good to see you and talk wrestling with you. And I know Trin won't be far away. She's just she was messaging me just before. She's doing a couple of things. How have you been anyway, brother? How you been?
I've been better, let's just say that. I had a personal tragedy in my life. My grandmother passed away this last weekend, so...
Oh, I seen that and sent my condolences, yeah. Man, I'll tell you what, I was gonna say to you, but it just wasn't right moment. When you put that picture up, I'm like, good God, Paul looks like his grandma.
Actually, somebody else did, and depending on which relative you look at from either side of the family, I'm a good mix of both my parents.
Yeah. No,
depending on what picture you see, yeah.
Yeah, no, I was sitting there thinking, no, you can definitely tell that's your grandma, that's for sure.
Yeah. But I'll take that as a good thing, given that she was 99 years old.
Yeah, man.
6 months shy of 100.
Yeah, I was sitting there thinking that too, because when you put up the dates of that, I was sitting there going, oh, she's 99. I was like, oh, 1 year off bringing up the triple figures, man. But that's a good run.
Not even 1 year. Would have been February. Would have been her 100th birthday.
I mean, that's a good run, man. I mean, she's obviously probably been through and seen a heck of a lot over the decades. That's for sure.
Yep.
And I love hearing people get to that, like, up around that age and that, because you can't really complain once your time's sort of up. Once you sort of get to the 90s and above. I mean, that's a good run if you ask me. And anybody who gets up over 100, man, lives over. I'm like, good God, they're probably sitting there going, when is my time? Good, man.
Well, I will say about the last 5 years or so, she hadn't been herself, really. She didn't always remember anybody or things like that. But so she had about 95 good years of,
Yeah, and that's the thing. Sometimes when they get up around that, they start getting that Alzheimer's, and that's probably the time where you sit there and just think, no, you probably are better off gone, because you barely remember faces, you barely remember.
Right.
I mean, that's really no way to continue to live in reality, because I would imagine they'd feel quite alone because they don't remember much. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, I mean, hey, man, that's a good run, though. A good run.
I will remember one, just real quick story. One time, not too long ago, my mom called her to speak to her, and my grandmother thought she was on a train, and she was complaining about the food. Now, mind you, she was in a retirement home. She was,
right.
But we learned, just go with it. Just tell her to enjoy her trip. Yeah.
I would have been the funny one playing. I'm like, you're doing all right on this train. It's not going very far, though. Like, I don't know where you're going, but no. I mean, that's probably the best thing to do when they get like that too. Is you don't.
Well, and it was fun because her mother kind of lost her memory when she was getting older too. But her mother would mess with people.
Yeah.
Yeah. She would purposely trigger my grandmother. I was like, we love watching it though. It was fun.
I can imagine, man. Yeah. I mean, it's good. Like even if they get like that, but they sort of still got that sense of humor. It's good too.
But they're still twisted. Yeah.
Yeah. Still having fun with things,
Yep.
All right. Well, let's get right into the first topic, which for me personally, I'm just going to say it's about bloody time, because as great as this man has been creatively, as you know, all the great things he's done really for the wrestling industry. I mean, he really put wrestling on the map once he took over from his dad. But Vince has backed away from WWE creatively, reportedly revealed. So this coming from WrestlingInc.com. The roles of Vince and Paul Triple H Levesque in WWE's creative department appear to have changed. While the latter has been in charge of these duties for quite some time, even doing it remotely, McMahon is known for having a very hands-on approach when it comes to the company's television product. However, a report has come in from Sports Illustrated that states that Levesque is fully in charge in the wake of WWE merging with UFC to form TKO Group Holdings, following the completion of the Endeavour sale. According to the report, Ari Emanuel, the CEO of Endeavour, is behind the change, as he believes that everyone in the company should focus on the jobs they've been assigned. McMahon is currently an executive chairman still by title, and his main focus for now is just to oversee media rights negotiations, and that is it.
Right.
As WWE's chief content officer, however, it's Levesque's role to spearhead the creative direction of Raw and SmackDown, while his best friend, Shawn Michaels, has creative control of WWE's NXT. What's more, is McMahon is said to have an ironclad contract that protects him completely financially. However, there doesn't appear to be any clauses in the agreement that give him license to run the company however he sees fit. Emmanuel has the final say over all matters when it pertains to WWE now. Previously, it was reported that McMahon was involved in WWE creative prior to his spinal surgery, which led him to making several changes to the shows on the fly. That being said, it's believed that he has completely and utterly stepped away from the role willingly to allow Paul Levesque to steer the ship in that department from here on out. So, and of course, as of this writing, McMahon is under investigation by the federal government, presumably in regard to the hush money payments he made to several women in the past. The outcome of the case obviously remains to be seen. What's your thoughts on this, brother? Are you in agreement with me? It's about damn time.
Well, actually, if you remember back a couple of months ago when the deal with them and the other company that I just drew a blank on,
Endeavor.
Endeavor, I said this was going to probably happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said this will probably push Vince out because they're going to want to take full charge. They're going to want to run the show.
Yes. Yeah.
And Vince is what, 77, 78,
He's up there, man. He's up there. With his and for some reason, look, this is how you know he's losing the plot before you continue. The man grew one of those creepy pencil-thin mustaches.
Yeah.
I don't get it, but, you know.
He was going for old school 1920 silent movie star thing going on.
Yeah. Or he looks like, what's that? I always find him creepy to look at. That director, he did, I'm pretty sure he was
I know you're talking about.
And he had the pencil thin mustache too. I'm like, that's what he's reminding me of.
But we both said it's about time, because he kept getting in his own way in some ways.
Yeah, he did.
He would do these last minute changes, and Paul Levesque had to be sitting there going, "What the hell, dude? We got plans."
And every time it got reported on, the morale backstage would go completely to crap. The morale would just go down the minute he, took over control in that, because you put it this way, I think if you're a smart wrestling fan like both of us are, you can tell when he's writing the storylines, and you can tell when Triple H is. You can tell. Vince's trademarks.
Yep. And the only thing I would say that's left to do is Triple H needs to get grips on our buddy. My name is Paul. Whatever. Who cares? And his buddy, Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
I think once they get control of that, I think we'll be where we need to be.
Yes. Yes.
But I do think, Vince kind of, I would say about the last 10 years or so, Vince has kind of lost touch.
He has.
You know,
He has.
yes, WWE's been doing well, but it's not because of Vince. It's because of Paul.
Exactly,
You know?
and the reason some of these people that were released got brought back was because of Paul, because he understands that a wrestler this day and age is not the big, huge, bulky looking guys that Vince has always loved. He understands that they're more average looking these days. I mean, Punk, I don't like to bring him up, but he really did. Punk's body shapes, I mean, look at it. He set the precedence. Punk is just an average looking guy. Looks
well,
like
I'm right now. I'm looking at Shinzei. What's his name? Shinzei
Nakamura. I mean, he's as skinny as a stick.
He just actually, I'm impressed though because his weight they say is like 220. He does not look 220.
No, man.
I gotta say,
he's very slim 220, man.
Yeah, yeah,
very slim. But I mean, look at him. Yeah. Look at Seth Rollins. You know, look at Dominic.
They're much. They're all much smaller guys.
Damian Priest, Finn Balor. Yeah, they are.
Well, especially like Damien. Damien's tiny. I mean,
he is, man. He's
or
tall,
no, not Damien.
Tiny.
It's who else is on the team that's really small.
Dominic.
Well, besides Dominic, the other
Finn.
one, Finn is tiny. I mean, really. Even compared to Dominic,
the one who's about to join, that JD McDonough, he's tiny again. Like, he's short and he's tiny, but
which allows them to move faster and look like they're hitting harder, and they can do a lot more.
You're not getting guys the size of the John Cena's or Brock Lesnar's or The Rock anymore.
No,
they're very few and far between. And Triple H
and the ones they do have can move very well, and I think that's what they're looking for now.
Except for the one big boy that we know you don't like, Bronson.
Yeah, I really don't like him. Bronson Reed needs to go back to school. Okay.
No, I actually think he just needs to, and I don't like usually saying this to people, but look, it needs to be said in his case because I think it would be beneficial. He needs to lose some weight because if he does, it may make his movement a lot more fluid, and he could probably, especially because of stuff that he wants to do. He wants to go to top rope.
Like last time we had a show, we talked about the female one, the one that looks like she's always thinking about her next move. Yeah, that's what he looks like. That's what he always looks like.
Yes.
Okay, here's where I got to put my arm up to do the block. Okay, here's where I got. It's like it's got to be more fluid. It's got to be more natural.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm glad this has finally happened. I'm glad Triple H is taking over because, I mean, Sean's doing a fantastic job storyline-wise in NXT. That's probably the best brand right now for WWE and has been for
I gotta say, NXT is on fire right now.
Yeah, man. It is. It truly is.
And what's his name's kid who came out and said he's changing his name? Did you see that spot they did a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
That was a great spot.
Brian Pillman Jr.'s kid.
Pillman. Yeah, that was an awesome spot.
Yeah.
Just so well done.
He's come out and explained why he's going by why he helped choose the name that he's going to be going by. King, even though from a storyline he's kind of saying that it was his stepdad's last name, the guy Ray. It's actually not. It's actually his mother's last name. I don't know if it's maiden last name or married last name, but that's where the King comes into it. He also explained the first part of the name as well, which I think is good because he wants to stand out away from his dad. Like people know that he's his dad. I mean, look, God, they've got him looking like his dad, hair and all.
Yeah. He's a dead ringer for his dad.
Oh, he is.
Pardon the term, but he looks just like his dad did.
But see, on the indie scene and everything, he did go by Brian Pillman Jr., see? So I think he just wanted that change to try and, I don't know, set the precedent and set the tone for his own legacy.
You know what? I did some reading up on him and his family. His sister died young. His father died young.
Yes.
I mean, there's been a lot of tragedy in his life. He needs this.
Yeah.
And he deserves this if he can... Because he's working for it. So hopefully, I'm hoping he does great. I saw some naysayers respond to his tweet and stuff. And it's like, no, let the man have his day. He's earned this.
Yeah, he is. He is a great worker. Anybody that watched him in... I watched him when he was starting on the real indie scene in a company called MLW. And he went from there over to AEW, and now he's about to hit the big stage, and I think he's ready. He's paid his dues to get here. He's 30 years of age. He's got a lot of time left though because he's never had any serious injuries. Looks great. I think the kid has got a lot of talent, both on the mic and in the ring. And I think WWE is finally going to get the best out of this kid. I think AEW was Tony didn't really know what to do with him. He pitted him in a tag team, which I just didn't think was showcasing him enough. I think he was more showcased actually in MLW, to be quite honest, because he was a singles guy there. But now he's going to get his time to shine, and I think he's going to have a bit of a crazy gimmick like his dad, back in the day, where his dad played this crazed character, and I think we're about to see the second coming of that. But this kid is uber talented. I think he's going to march right through NXT. I'll give it 12 months. He'll be on the main roster. He'll get. And
I think you alluded to it. Right now, NXT is their strongest brand, as far as I'm concerned.
It is, man. It is.
And I think they know that because all the big names are kind of rolling through NXT right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
they all
Cody made an appearance there, and they've all made an appearance there.
Taker, man. Taker came down. American Badass Undertaker. They pulled out all the stops last week. I think that's because they were going up against AEW, because AEW was doing that Title Tuesday.
Well, what's interesting about that is they started hinting with Undertaker with the bell toll at the end of the promos.
Oh yeah,
and that was before they knew AEW was going to be in that spot.
Yeah, they did.
So I think that was already planned.
And I kind of hope
I started hearing the bell toll and everybody's going, it's going to be CM Punk. I'm like, that's Undertaker, you dummies.
Yeah. I hope he has a little program actually, with Bron Breakker. I think that'd be interesting, especially with the promo he gave to him. There's always going to be that older, bigger badass, and now you're dealing with the biggest and the baddest of them all.
Yep.
I think it'll be vital for Bron Breakker to step up to the main roster after that too. But moving on to the second topic, which is an interesting one, and it's been a minute since we had an update about the video game, but there's been an update on the future of AEW Fight Forever. So, as we all know, earlier this year, the video game AEW Fight Forever was released. Generally positive feedback. Since then, the developers have added some DLC content, such as the Stadium Stampede mode, which is really fun. And there are reportedly plans in place to add more wrestlers to the game's roster. Fightful Select is reporting that some of AEW's newest acquisitions have been scanned recently so that their digital avatars can be included in the game at a later date. It remains to be seen which wrestlers will be added to Fight Forever, but we do have it on good authority. Names such as Adam Copeland and Kota Ibushi have been scanned and will show up eventually, now that they're both all elite. The latest update about the game also suggests that AEW Fight Forever will remain the company's sole video game for the time being. Instead of making a sequel, it's expected that the game's creators for years to come will keep adding updates to the release. Despite this, the game reportedly, this came as a little bit of a shock considering you see it on the side of the Titantrons on all the shows. But so despite all this news, the game reportedly hasn't been talked about much behind the scenes in recent times at AEW. While there was an internal push to promote the title following its release, conversations pertaining to the game appear to have died down in the company's management circles, as the report states that it's hardly been mentioned backstage or at meetings. The game has experienced some changes behind the scenes too. AEW referee Aubrey Edwards, who works with the company's gaming division, recently revealed that she's no longer involved in the development of the title. However, she is involved with the game in other capacities, including branding and media. So interesting, man. Interesting. I know this is a game that, because of the graphical style, that they don't need to bring out a sequel anytime soon. They chose that graphical style for a reason. And I think it's cool that they're going to constantly, add more match types, add more wrestlers. I think that's a great idea. I knew the minute Adam Copeland showed up in AEW, that was just a given that he would be scanned because, you know, such a big name, big star. If anything, the minute they announce that he's in the game, it's going to draw people's attention back in again because everybody's going to want to play as him in an AEW game.
Yeah. Totally off subject because I'm watching. I just got to tell you right now, some little kid just got a feel off of Natalia. He broke her boob. As she was walking by, he grabbed her boob. But I'm not kidding.
Oh, God. But the thing that is, I won't say majorly concerning, but a little bit concerning, is it not being discussed in meetings or backstage in a while.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of a concern. Obviously, I mean, Ukes are right behind it, so obviously Ukes are doing all the work anyway, per se. But and I know Kenny's still very, very heavily involved. But outside that, to hear that Tony's not even talking about, and it's weird because, as I said, on every show, on the side panels of the Titantron, you see AEW Fight Forever. So they're still advertising it on the show. It's quite clear as day.
They're still advertising it on the show, but I think, like, if you follow Twitter and stuff, I think Tony needs to get his focus together. Tony's on his way to turning into a pain in the ass.
He put it this way: the fans either love him or they hate him, bro. And there's no middle ground. There's no in between.
No, I appreciate what he's trying to do, but sometimes I look at his tweets and I go, dude, you really shouldn't have put that out. You know, use your inside voice sometimes, man. Keep it in.
I mean, he just made comments, for God's sakes, about Undertaker and John Cena on NXT, and that's kind of backfired badly. I get it. He speaks more as a fan, which he is, and he always has been. That's why he invested anyway, because he was a fan, and he openly admits he's a fan. I think, though, and you've probably heard this term before, a lot of you have if you've been in the wrestling, around wrestling for a long time, a wrestling fan. I believe he's too much of a mark. I believe he's way too much of a mark, and he needs to reel himself in. Bischoff has, I think Bischoff's 100% on the nose the way he describes and sort of takes shots at Tony Khan, because Tony does a lot of things a lot of mistakes that Bischoff made back in the day, or that WCW made back in the day, and you talk this big game, but at the end of the day, your company isn't. I mean, it's heading in the right direction, but then sometimes you look at it and you go, they take 2 steps forwards and then 3 steps backwards, and
the way I think it could make it work is if he did what Vince did and what Vince did and what's his name at WCW, where they become a character of themselves. That would allow him to say some of these things and nobody would think twice about it. No, because then it's in character.
Yes.
Because right now it's not in character. It's just him being weird.
Exactly. But no.
If he became a character of himself and was actually out in the ring, causing havoc like Vince used to do, or and that, then okay. Because then if you're tweeting that stuff, you can assume it's part of the show. But after last Tuesday, he was tweeting all kinds of weird shit, and people were going, "Dude, stop, please."
Yeah, you've got that cocky arrogance there to become a heel character easily, bro. Easily.
Yeah.
And as I said, the fans that really hate him, oh man, he will get booed. He will get booed. But no, look, they need to. I think Ukes keep doing what they're doing and updating the game. I love all that, but they need to be discussing it more and really pushing it again. Especially, as I said, when Adam Copeland, I don't want to just hear, Adam Copeland's just been at it and that's it. No, he is such a big name. You got to push and advertise the crap out of that, And, as I said, it needs to be discussed. Discuss it. I mean, it's you've pretty much said that it's basically a live service game. It's going to be forever changing, forever adding to it and that. So it needs to be constantly discussed, what new match types do you want to add to it? What wrestlers need to be scanned, Ideas need to be thrown around. It can't just be all on, Yuke's and Kenny's shoulders, and
no, it'd be nice. We're coming into the holiday season, and if they can get Adam in there fast enough, this is a big time to push it. Hey,
exactly.
Christmas is coming up, Black Friday's coming up, all that stuff. Start, talking it up.
Exactly.
They should be pushing it for every pay-per-view they do. They've got another one coming up in 2 months, right? Because they're skipping a month, if I recall correctly.
That's right. Yeah. All right. Well, moving on to the third topic, and this one's a good one. So Del Rio and Punk a no-go for WWE. So it came out that CM Punk and his representative reached out to WWE, and they said, "Hell no." It's also come out.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
I know. And it's also come out that backstage news on Del Rio's rumored return. So, as well, that they said no to him at the end of 2022. It was reported that WWE had absolutely no interest in former champion Alberto El Patron, obviously known in WWE as Alberto Del Rio, returning to the company. And with a fresh round of rumors about Patron going back to WWE, it appears not much has changed, just like the Punk situation. So Fightful Select is reporting that there is, excuse the language, but this is literally coming from backstage, no effing chance that Del Rio, like Punk, will return to WWE, corroborated by a screenshot shared by Fightful's Sean Ross Sapp, which shows the exact phrasing, right? According to the Wrestling Observer, too, Del Rio had reportedly said he had working his way back to WWE before Vince's ousting from the company. Fightful reached out to a WWE source who flat out denied the report, as seen in tweets on the X app. According to a report, even in December last year, Del Rio was telling people he'd been in talks with former WWE head talent relations John Laurinaitis, with one source describing it as a feeling out process for Del Rio, but absolutely no real interest from WWE side. Del Rio's chances in US wrestling or wrestling back in the US are seemingly slim. Not only does the door appear closed in WWE, but it appears AEW also doesn't have interest at all. AEW World Champion MJF called Del Rio an abuser, a bad promo, a poser, and a bitch, and a drug addict, and an overrated wrestler. Holy crap! MJF in February, and the company.
Tell us how you really feel. Yeah.
The company also employs Saraya, the ex-girlfriend of Del Rio, who has alleged abuse at the hands of Del Rio during their relationship. He's obviously continued to wrestle back in his native land, Mexico, under the name Alberto El Patron, with AAA booker Conan recently defending the choice to work with the controversial wrestler. He's got no hope because of his track record of bad press outside of wrestling, as just mentioned, and he has been a drug addict. He has been an abuser to Saraya, and that Saraya's under an AEW. They're definitely not going to bring him in over there. He's got no chance, just like Punk. They both burnt too many bridges. And to be quite fair, there's one thing I will say that Punk has over Del Rio. Punk's at least more entertaining, because Punk can talk on a freaking microphone. Del Rio is just useless on a microphone.
I've got to say, I have no idea who this person is. I would have to look him up. I swear to God. I have no clue who.
He was in WWE for a while. I mean, he was a WWE champion a couple of times.
You got to realize that between now and between earlier this year or last year and the Attitude Era, I didn't watch a lot of wrestling. So no. If he was a spit in the wind between those times, then that's why I have no idea who he is.
Yeah,
because he was never really big name,
No. I mean, he shouldn't have even been WWE champion. Like he's like mid card at best, But they pushed him sky high, and as I said, even as champion, he wasn't champion too long because he's terrible on the microphone. Like he is absolutely terrible. He's good in ring wrestler. I'll give him that. He's talented in the ring, but he's just not exciting. And he's not a luchador. He comes from Mexico, but he's not a luchador, so he does no high flying.
So if all he's doing is bringing drama, for the same reason that I said they need to let CM go, if all he's doing is bringing drama and hassles, then unless he can put butts in the seats, and even then, you gotta weigh it. Is it worth the drama in the locker room to have this guy? And
exactly.
It sounds like no. It sounds like
no. Yeah, definitely not. Like he is as much drama as CM Punk. They're both prima donnas. They're both
in different ways. It sounds like, but
in different ways. Yes, in different ways. But I mean, Del Rio is another one that's very hard to work with. That's why
I know a lot of people disagree with me on CM Punk, but I think until he gets his shit together and he stops being drama, that he's kind of where he's supposed to be.
Yeah,
nowhere.
I put it this way. I think his best bet right now, and I have heard rumors, there is a smaller promotion that would probably take him on, and that's Impact Wrestling. And I think that's where he's going to end up because AEW obviously got rid of him. They don't want him. WWE has turned out flat out and said nope, not a chance.
And I think part of that is because Vince is gone. I think if Vince wasn't gone, he went. But I think Triple H is taking a stand and going, we don't need this right now.
No, no. And he's still got a lot of work to do. I mean, he fixed the stuff with the Miz, but there's other wrestlers. Yeah. There's like top wrestlers that are at the top of the card in the company that don't want him there. Have expressed that they don't want him in their locker room.
I wish you weren't in a hurry because that brings up a question I had that I wanted to ask you last week. Where is the Miz been? He's almost been a non-existent wrestler over the last.
He has. I mean, he's done.
They bring him in for these special little like one match pops, and then that's it. Yeah,
that's it. But other than that, they're not using him like they've used him before.
Nope.
I don't know what direction. Maybe they just got nothing for him right now.
Yeah.
So
is he still doing the Mr. and Ms. thing? And
I think he's still doing that. Yeah, but
maybe that's what his focus is.
He's like a media thing for him, like how they use that Titus O'Neil. How they use him as more of a media type. He doesn't wrestle anymore. That's basically how they're using Miz. I think it's probably they're just doing it that way because they really don't have anything for him, storyline-wise. He doesn't fit.
Well, and they do have a lot of storylines going on anyway. I mean, we got a whole lot of storylines going on. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And there's just, you only got so much time on all these shows, and obviously there's just, as I said, they've still, even after letting go of some wrestlers, they've still got quite an over-bloated roster. They've got to try and find time. I mean, poor Karrion Kross right now, for example, has got nothing to do. I don't know what they're doing with him, and so that you haven't seen him on TV. So there's some wrestlers that just aren't being used. As I said, it's probably just more down to they're not in any of the current storylines, and they just don't know where they fit. So, that's
and they are shuffling stuff around. I mean, they moved KO to Friday.
So there's a split now of him and Sami Zayn. So that's going
which plays into what's going on Monday. You'll see that later. So
I was a bit perturbed by that, to be quite honest, because I seriously thought it was going to be Cody that was going to come across, but obviously not. But obviously they're still, because they teased it on SmackDown, him and Roman, they went face to face there, and I'm like, well, if he's not the wrestler that's done the swap with Jay, then obviously they're going with Cody's going to win the Royal Rumble. But as I said, if they're going to have him win the Royal Rumble, he can't come in last this time. He's got to come in first and go through it all to build that story up. Otherwise, fans are likely to turn on him if they do that again. Like, he's number 30 again. He's going to win. No, do a Shawn Michaels.
I don't know. He's over with the crowd right now. I think they could do that, and he would take some heat, but at the same time, people would just be glad to see him in that position again.
Yeah, that's true. But I
mean, he's very over with the crowd. He's very over with the crowd.
In my opinion, I don't know. For me, it just makes a better story if you have him come in first and make him last the whole Rumble, like that kind of and But it's
How long are they going to let
interesting.
him hold the tag team thing?
It's
How long are they going to let
interesting.
him hold the tag team title?
Right? I'm wondering if there may have been a shift backstage, because who's currently about to start feuding with Roman, who's an absolute fire, and in my personal opinion, I think really could be the one that needs to go over Roman. And like, especially if there's been a change backstage of like, you know what, I think we're not going to make this Hulk Hogan record. We don't really see this being able to stretch out. Like, people are sick of Roman Reigns now, like, and that whole storyline. And this is my opinion on it. I don't want to see you do all this hard work of building up LA Knight just to have him lose to Roman. That is just going to take the wind completely out of his. You put your. I was thinking about it after SmackDown. They have put themselves, and they've set themselves up here, they've put themselves in a very, very, very tough position, because you are going to have him as the next challenger. It might be all right for him to, if you're going to drag the storyline out a bit, have him lose the first match, Jay and Solo come in, but you're not going to be able to have him lose twice to if you're going to do it.
No.
Right.
But I could see them setting up some kind of thing where he's got to go, him and Cody are going to go at it too before Roman and anybody goes at it.
Yeah.
There's some really good matches they've set up this way. Possibly.
I think, because, as I said, and I've said it many, many times, and they were obviously building to. Right now, I'd even say LA Knight is taking over Seth and Cody. Like, Seth and Cody are still really, really popular, obviously, with the crowd. LA Knight is the biggest thing going in WWE. He really is. And I think they need to capitalize on it. I've said time and time again, this man is like a culmination of the Rock and Stone Cold in one body, and he needs to be the champion. He can be he literally himself could be the face of the company. And I know some people are going to go, oh, but he's 40. So what? He could be the face of the company for the next 5 years. At least you don't need someone to be the face of the company for decade anymore.
Right.
You can do a change after 5 years. But this guy is in the best shape of his career. He's the hottest thing in WWE. I think you need to put that title around his waist. Like, you've put him now in the position, the main event. You've got him right there going up against Roman. You had Roman steamroll and beat every single person on that roster. He hasn't faced or beat LA Knight. And as I said, I just would see it as a big waste of time doing all this build-up with LA Knight, all this work, just to have him lose and then send him back down and take the win completely out. I mean, that would just... It wouldn't be devastating, but it would just suck in my...
I think there's a way they could do it and maybe not... and still be okay with it if he, because...
As long as they keep him looking strong, you know what I mean? Like,
right. Right.
Roman, look, we know how he wins his matches. He wins by outside interference. So, yeah, you could get away with it.
And I've always said that.
Yeah, and you could get away with it, and he still looks strong, LA Knight, because it's like, well, yeah, he did lose to Roman, but it took 3 people to put him down. But...
yeah, I mean, that's basically what they did with Cody last year.
Exactly. So, it's interesting.
And Cody's
I'd
hotter,
like to know...
and I know we disagree, but Cody's hotter now than he was last year.
I think he is, yeah. I think he's just behind LA. As I said, I think LA Knight's the biggest thing in WWE right now. But I'd be so disappointed that if they don't pull the trigger with LA. I think he is world champion material. And now that...
Well, and they can belay Cody because Cody's holding the tag team championship right now.
Exactly. And I thought it was funny with that interview too. Like, they were trying to get an answer and then he got interrupted. I'm like, are you happy with this? Is the story finished? Like, what are you going to do? Michael Cole was trying to press him.
I wish we would have done a show last week because it was killing me, the fact that, one, Cody admitted he'd been drinking, but two, Uso was drunk off his ass. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It was funny as hell, dude.
So,
okay.
On to this next topic, though, which we were talking about SmackDown. there's been an update, as we know, not only the reported contract status, but he was revealed as the new GM of SmackDown, which is Mickie James's husband, Nick Aldis. So it's safe to say the wrestling world was shocked on Friday during the season premiere of SmackDown who the new SmackDown General Manager was. Former long-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion Nick Aldis, the husband of Mickie James, was introduced as the new GM by Triple H, and Fightful Select has some backstage information on Aldis' contract. So Aldis first started in WWE this past summer in a producer role. So he's been there for a little minute now, but just backstage, where his contract was essentially on a trial run basis. Fightful has confirmed that Aldis' trial run is over. He's now officially with the company. So even when he was working behind the scenes in WWE, Aldis was considered a free agent and he was still wrestling at indie events. His last match was only 6 days before the October 13th episode, where he took part in the Appalachian Championship Wrestling Bluegrass Con event on October 7th. Talent backstage who spoke with Fightful about Aldis had nothing but praise for the former Impact Wrestling star and NWA star. He's eager, makes the most of his opportunity with the company, and is easygoing. So it's worth mentioning that even with his 20 years of in-ring experience, Aldis has never wrestled in a WWE ring. Aldis has taken over Adam Pearce's role as the SmackDown GM. As a result, Pearce will now be solely the GM of Raw. Fightful noted that before Pearce was hired by WWE, the company had its eyes set on bringing back MVP for the role, but he instead took on an on-screen manager role instead, most notably, as we know, with the Hurt Business. It's yet to be determined, though, if there's details in Aldis' contract if he will actually wrestle on screen. Interesting, because I still think this man's in really great shape. He was like having a run.
Oh, and if he was actively wrestling 6 days before, he could at least take some bumps and stuff.
Yeah.
They could,
this man,
what they did in the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
All those guys used to take bumps.
Hey, what's good, brother Dread? What's good, Dreadpool?
Yep.
He
I'd like to see him. I'd like to see some
had
of that.
a Roman-esque run as NWA champion, man. Like, he was an NWA champ for a long time, and Cody Rhodes was the one to beat him and take the belt off him, and then he beat Cody a few months after it, and went on another long run. He's been a champion in Impact Wrestling. I think Impact Wrestling was probably the biggest stage that he's been on until now. So I think this is awesome to see. He's very, very much a very similar in the ring and similar on the microphone to Cody. And I've seen the comparisons around for quite a while. He's like the British version of Cody because he's British.
I think the way they've set Cody up right now, they really couldn't do a feud with those two right now, but they could work into one.
I would like to see a feud between the two at some point. But that all depends too if Aldis has got, if he's able to wrestle, or if he's strictly just been hired as an on-air, general manager personality. Which, as I said, it would be a shame because this guy could be used to get over younger talent. Like, he's that good in the ring, and I think he's at that point in his career because he's a bit older than Cody. I'm pretty sure. That but he's always been willing to help younger talent. He's got no issue with it. So it's
interesting. You notice how many of those the WWE has picked up lately?
Yeah. People
that are willing to help the younger guys come up.
Yeah.
That aren't so in their head that they think it's all about them.
The only thing I will say too is the only thing I didn't like was the way he was introduced. There was he came. It looked like from the side somewhere off camera. And he had no theme music, nothing. Like, they didn't have him walk down. I'm like...
He was already out there somewhere.
Yeah, I'm like, usually they make it a little bit of a bigger deal. And I thought they were. And I was, looking up the ramp, cause especially with the way, things were going with Dom. And I'm like, I'm waiting for some music to hit and Nick Aldis to strutty stuff. No, I'm like, okay, I didn't really like the way that they did that. That's the first time...
I almost wonder if he was at at the announcer's table. If
That's
he was
where
at
I
the,
thought he must have come from, or at least
Yeah.
near where the ring bell person is. I'm like,
Yeah.
where the frickin' hell's he come? He just strolled over in. Triple H is like casually. It was so casually done. But I didn't like the way that they introduced. I would have liked to seen like him come down the ring. But what I did find funny was when he got in Dom's face. And he goes,
before you say, wait, yeah. I think you're about to say what I was going to point out. When Triple H goes, I thought they piped that shit in there that loud. Wow, it's really that loud.
And he goes, because it's so loud. And then he goes up to Dom, and he goes, oh, I'm a big fan of your old man.
Yeah, I love that.
Of your dad, you know. I thought that was funny. And, like, he's going to be a good he's going to be a good GM because, as I said, he can talk on the mic. He brings that British smart arsery with him, you know what I mean? You know how British can be like that.
And they set that up by letting him say that to Dom. It's set up, okay, we're going to have somebody with a personality out there. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think it's good again that we've got 2 GMs again. Look, I commend Adam Pearce. Look, I know it's just an on-air talent, but to be doing it for both shows was a lot, I could imagine. And so this lightens the load for him a bit. And he's been fantastic himself. Another guy who was NWA World Champion, had a really long tenured career on the independent scene, fantastic wrestler. Again, I would have loved to see. I actually think in his case he can't wrestle anymore. I think he had a few too many injuries. I would have loved to see him wrestle in WWE, but look, I watched a lot of his indie stuff and that, and he was fantastic. As again, it was
aside from that, they announced that change last week for that GM, and then that Tuesday they made Cody GM per day.
Yeah, so, that was good. You know why that was good too? I thought on NXT because that is the place his father built.
Yep. So I do find that interesting again, and I've said it looks like they're kind of pushing Cody at least into a on-stage management position.
Yes.
It does really feel like that because they seem to be giving him more to do, more to say, more to be outside of just wrestling.
Yeah. You know.
So I find that interesting. So now we have a new GM over there. We have that over there. And like we said, though, NXT is their hot property right now.
It is.
All the fun is happening on NXT.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is how I would rank it before we move on to the second last topic. I would rank NXT number 1 for their number 1 brand. I'd rank Raw number 2. And I'd rank SmackDown in third. Like, SmackDown, I would have initially had above Raw, but it's been kind of left a little bit.
Well, and SmackDown almost looks like SmackDown almost looks like they're getting desperate to try to get viewers.
They are.
If you really watch it.
The only thing that's really kind of helped, and look, I don't care what Roman Reigns thinks, but the only thing that's really kind of helped SmackDown lately has been John Cena.
Yeah.
It really has given it a bit of an injection. It's still been behind Raw, and they've both been behind NXT, but I think SmackDown needs a lot of work.
Well, and the other issue you have is, and I don't know how this is going to affect it. Remember, Fox has not renewed their rights for SmackDown.
It's going over to the USA. Yeah, it's going to the USA network to join.
So all their shows are going to be on USA at this point.
Yeah.
And
that's
And I've always thought Friday night was a weird night to do that because that's a weekend night when people want to go out and do shit.
Yeah.
But
I'm pretty sure back in the day, SmackDown was on a Thursday initially.
It was, I believe, yeah.
Yeah, because it wasn't initially called Friday Night SmackDown. It was just called SmackDown.
Right.
I think maybe moving back to Thursdays might be the go-to once it goes back to USA. But yeah, it is what it is. It's going to be interesting. Hopefully now with Nick Aldis there, things start to pick up a little bit. Because I've been a little bit bored with SmackDown, to be quite honest. That's why I ranked it in third. Like, it hasn't had a lot going on compared to the other 2 brands,
well, and same here, okay. Big Man came back, great. But he's still not wrestling until middle end of next month.
No.
Okay, terrific. Yeah. So what are we going to do with him for the next 4 weeks,
Yeah, exactly. So
anyway, next topic or last topic or whatever.
Second last one. Well, both of these are to do with AEW, But AEW newcomer, formerly known as Edge, Adam Copeland, who's so far I think has had a really good debut over there, explains wanting to maximise the time he has left. As we know, he's about to turn 50 very soon. So he's found himself a new home since bursting through the curtain at Wrestle Dream, and he's already making his mark, beefing with his longtime friend Christian Cage, and also defeating Luchasaurus in his first AEW match on Dynamite. But Copeland isn't satisfied with just that, as he's looking to make his AEW run, likely the last run of his career, an absolute memorable one. And part of making it a memorable run, as Copeland discussed during an appearance on Talk is Jericho, is leaving wrestling in a better place once he totally hangs it up. That and new opponents Copeland has never encountered in a wrestling ring are his biggest motivating factors going forward. He went on to say, I want to help. And in coming in here to a brand new company, basically still an upstart company, it felt like I could help the wrestling industry as a whole more. Because let's face it, WWE is always going to be fine. Here was going to be fine, whether I came here or not. But I just feel like here I'm going to get that opportunity to really get in and try and move the product forward and be a part of that. And as well as helping a new company really get on the map. That's really exciting to me. Instead of kind of coming in once every 3 months like WWE was using me, or something like a special attraction. And again, I've never faced Claudio, Moxley, Joe, MJF, Omega, Adam Page, whoever's yelling next door, FTR, Young Bucks. Never touched any of them. There's 2 years worth of stories, maybe 3 years right there. So that's really what I plan on doing, is just maximising however much time I have left and really just going for it, like kicking the doors off and let's go. And that's why I've come back and wanted to be on a full-time schedule to finish out my career. I think this has really revitalised him. I actually think this was just sort of going, I'm just kind of taking a guess, but just sort of going off of his demeanour. He had enough of WWE because he obviously quite clearly wanted to do more, and they were only using him in a very special attraction type scenario.
They were using him like a show pony, like they do a lot of their older wrestlers.
And he wasn't, after being able to come back from the injury that almost cost him his life, to be quite honest, right. the injury and his career. He believes he's got a lot left in this last run, and so he wants to go out with bang. He's obviously happy to work that full-time schedule, and WWE weren't going to allow that to happen, and AEW is. And look, you can see his enthusiasm is skyrocketed. Like he feels like how he did when he first started with WWE, because it's the excitement of new challenges. It's excitement of new match types that he's never even been in, like that he wants to try. He feels like a little kid again. The brain is just ticking over and the juices are flowing. I love seeing him, because I don't think he was that happy in WWE as what you're seeing him now. In the press conferences that we've seen with him in AEW, you can see it in the glistening in his eyes. You can see the big smile on his face. Like, he is enjoying himself. And I think this is great because he's actually getting to go out on his own terms, the way he wants to. WWE was never going to let that happen.
Nope. And he's somebody, he knows the risk better than anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's like Danielson. Danielson almost lost his career too, and he had to move on from WWE because they wanted to play it too safe. These guys, and I'm sitting there going, look, you can listen to doctors and everything, but there's nobody that knows their body better than the person themselves.
Nope. Now, there is a balancing act there because, they want to wrestle or whatever, but they do have limitations. And so, but the company has to find that balance, not just to go no, but to go, okay, but dude, there's going to be no falling from cages. There's going to be no going through tables,
Exactly. Exactly.
There's no going through glass windshields.
No, exactly. And it's good that he's come in because Danielson's only got about 8 months left before he moves more into... People think that he's completely hanging up. No, he said this is the last 12 months, which he's got 8 months since he stated it, is going to be the last of him wrestling full time. That doesn't mean that he won't wrestle from time to time again, but he promised his daughters, Bryan Danielson, that he would stop wrestling full time once this 12 months is up. That since he's said it,
right.
So Edge, on the other hand, Adam Copeland, he doesn't have that, so he's just going to pretty much keep going until the wheels fall off, is my guess. And there's a lot of challenges. He's ran through a list of the names over there. I mean, it's surprising to me, too, because him and Claudio, formerly Cesaro, and Moxley, formerly Medina, it surprises me. They were all in the same company, but they never were in a ring together. So there's challenges right there.
And that's not, we haven't talked about it, but, there's a video going around with crap that Hulk Hogan has said about Mick Foley. And I didn't realize that for all the years they were in WWE together, they had never wrestled in the same ring together.
No.
Ever.
No, ever.
And that's amazing to me that they could be on the same cards and in the same group and that they never faced each other. Not one time.
And it's happened a few times with a few wrestlers.
Yeah.
And you just sit back going, wow, you were in the same company all this time, but you never actually were in the ring together? What the hell? So it's...
And I honestly do think it's because Terry Hulk didn't want to damage his pretty little face, but...
Exactly. So I think Adam Copeland is going to have a really good final run, but not just that. I think he's going to help AEW a lot.
Plus, we get some more Edge and Christian stuff going on here for a while.
Exactly.
So.
I'm liking this feud, man. I'm liking this feud, and I think it's going to be a bit of a drawn-out feud because you can tell it's a bit of a slow burn feud the way that they're going about it. Christian making him jump through all these hoops before they actually get to a match themselves.
Right.
But I'm loving it. I mean, Christian right now, you'd have to say is one of the best heels in the industry right now. Like the whole daddy thing he's doing, father thing, he's doing, and oh man, he's been pure evil. And then that comment that he made where he's like, "Hey Beth, I know you're listening. Change your sheets because you're gonna have a new daddy coming up." And like, snap. I know those two are best friends. I mean, as I said, Christian.
And I think that's why they can get away with that because they know each other so well.
Exactly. I mean, he would have ran it past Adam, and Adam's like, go out there and say something evil like that. It's just going to get you so much, And at the end of the day, I mean, they're that close. They're basically like brothers. Christian's the godfather and uncle to his kids, So they're going to have a really good feud. And I hope, though, at some point, they have a feud, and then Adam goes and has a feud with other people. But at some point, we see a little run of them as a tag team again, just for nostalgia.
Basically, at this point, for us old guys, you have Edge, Christian, and Jericho all in the same company again. Yep. Let's have some fun. And
you forgot two others. You could do an old. We go right back old school tag team. Edge and Christian taking on the Hardys.
Yeah. Oh. Yep.
I don't think it'll be in no crazy ass ladder matches, mind you, but it'd still be good to see them.
Just to see those matches drawn together would draw a crowd for older wrestling fans.
Hey, what's good, Pyro? Welcome in, brother. But moving on to the final topic, which is still AEW related. So Chris Jericho discussed AEW and explained why AEW is a beneficial alternative to WWE. So during a recent appearance on the AEW Some Pod, Jericho was asked about having alternatives in wrestling in the wake of Cargill leaving AEW to sign with WWE. He said, and I quote, "One of the best things about AEW when we started was it gave an alternative for not just the fans, but the guys and girls that are wrestling as well, because it's always good to have options." Jericho said, "It's kind of like being in a band or being on a hit sitcom where somebody leaves. One of the cast members leaves or one of the guys in the band leaves and you just have to continue forward. I think that's what kind of makes AEW so special and so beneficial to the business, is you have a place to go if you feel you've run your course at the other place. And it works both ways. Jericho cited Adam Copeland as a perfect example of someone who recently made the jump from WWE to AEW, as the former Edge felt like he had done everything he could in WWE after 26 years. Jericho added, when I left WWE at the time, I was like, I will never work for anybody other than Vince in wrestling. And then the idea for Kenny Omega versus Jericho at the Tokyo Dome came up, and it was a pretty exciting concept and pretty cool idea. So it was, basically what he's saying is it's great to have that other big option now.
Yep.
And
it is without AEW right now, a lot of those guys would be in New Japan, or they'd be in that Thursday night show that I can TNA Impact.
Yeah, Impact. Yeah.
Impact Wrestling, and they wouldn't be getting the coverage that they're getting now.
No.
Yeah, they would still be doing what they love, but it'd be for a much smaller. Well, I can't say that about Japan wrestling. That's the whole thing, but that's still not as big in America as the other stuff is.
Exactly.
And especially and Impact. If you want to go wrestle in a school gymnasium, cool. It's like, no offense against Impact. I mean, that just they haven't. They used to be really big, and now they're much smaller than they were, and they can't seem to break out of that mold. But
which is, you know what, and we've mentioned this before, which is weird considering the company that owns them is like worth trillions, well, close to trillions. They're very, 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 very wealthy company.
I'm really surprised they're not taking advantage of this high wave that wrestling is on and getting themselves out there.
I know they're worth a lot of billions of dollars, the company, but they don't seem to invest all that much in. They want to keep Impact Wrestling going, but they just obviously like having it in the smaller venues and that, and they're not forking out where they could.
Right.
And they have a talent pool over there that, they could be a third big company. We could have, if they were to get out of where they're stuck and become that third big company, you could it'd be like the days of when there was WWF, WCW, and ECW, right? And they were all decent. So, I mean, obviously ECW is still the smaller of the three, but they were still considered a decent sized company. A hell of a lot bigger than what Impact is. They could be that third company. And I think it would be great because then you would have three places that you would get TV time and good TV time if they got on because they got the money there also to get on a good TV network themselves.
Right.
We'll put it this way. Fox won't have WWE, so why not team up with Fox? Be on Fox Sports, right? So then you've got Impact on Fox Sports, which is a big channel to be a part of. Then you'll have AEW on TNT and TBS, and you'll have WWE on the USA Network. So they all will have that big exposure. And New Japan's really trying to make it a big thing with New Japan World in America as well. And if they could get on a decent sized channel, I don't mean that they should team up with CBS or something, but something along those lines.
No, but they've been doing joint stuff with AEW. Yeah. So
exactly. So then you could have four big places. I mean, then wrestlers. There's plenty of wrestlers out there. You've got four choices then, right? And where you could get plenty of exposure and make plenty of money, and you don't necessarily have to rely on I've got to make it to WWE, because you'd have four companies that you would then consider big leagues, right?
And right now wrestling is hot again. This is the time to do that.
Exactly. So it would be nice. But look, Jericho's right. I'm glad AEW's there, but as we've said many times, there is. There's still a lot of changes that need to be made, and one of those, as I said, creatively, Tony Khan needs to take a back seat and hand over the creative reins to people that are better conditioned and better suited for that role, because he is not. Right. He I don't think he could write a decent storyline, if he tried. Like he just.
Well, it's like me. I know I can't write a good storyline, but what I could say is, hey, I have an idea. Let's do ABC.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Now take ABC and tell me how we get there in a creative way.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know. But just a couple other little tidbits too before we get on out of here. Great to see Carlito back. It really is. I don't like his new music though, and he tried to push for his old music. I love his old theme music. This new music I don't think really suits him, but WWE wanted to push for it, so it is what it is. But it's just cool to see him back. Well, yeah, play on the word. Cool. WWE. I don't know if anybody's seen. They unveiled a giant WWE Championship in front of their headquarters. Massive monument, like big WWE Championship. Like, I was like, hey, that looks pretty damn cool. Like outside their headquarters, usually they just have the big WWE sign. But and of course, last little tidbit of news. So reported reason for Michael Cole's absence from the Raw season premiere tonight. Now, as we know, iconic announcer Michael Cole rarely misses his duties on commentary, but he wasn't behind the desk on Raw, whose booth was led by Kevin Patrick. According to PW Insider, Cole's absence this week was planned and was not due to illness. According to the outlet, Patrick was set to be in the lead commentary position for many weeks leading up to the show, as Cole requested time off this week due to a personal commitment. Look, they've been having Patrick, you know, be his understudy, I guess you could say, for quite a while now. And they're trying to get him, you know, up into the lead announce role, you know, because there is going to come a time when Michael Cole will hang it up and step away. You know, and now Cole's got a lot on his shoulders as is, because now he's in both booths. So he does Raw and SmackDown now. In May, though, Cole said he will not retire from his commentary duties until he was reunited with on-again, off-again SmackDown commentator Pat McAfee, because he loved working with McAfee. He also said he has a lot left to do in the company, with a lot of shows left to call. He was speaking on McAfee's show recently too, and the 56-year-old said that age 60 might be a pretty good age to start slowing down. So that you still got at least another good 4 or 5 years of Michael Cole being there on the regular. But obviously they're trying, you know, during that period, they're trying to get, you know, Patrick up.
I will say, since they did the commentator shake-up a few months ago, it is much better than it was.
Oh, yes.
On all three shows. On all three shows.
Yes, yeah,
you know, They found matches for all three shows that work well.
Right.
So
no, it's
even with Booger. I mean,
Mr. Sleepy.
Sleepy, yeah.
Yeah, he's like the sleepy dwarf, you know. But no, look, he when he's excited and he's, we'll just say when he's awake. Look, he's a good commentator too, but he there's just times where I agree with you. He just seems lackluster. He seems really run down, like he hasn't got any sleep or something like that. Whereas the other guy then kind of has to carry it, and he's got the more excitement in his voice. He's like, "Come on, Booker, we know what you can do. Like, what are we doing here, man?"
Because I remember when they first made the switch, I told you Monday was a complete turnourn. Monday all of a sudden was like, holy crap, that was good.
Yeah, no, it was. No, you're not wrong, man. It's definitely improved a lot, and as I said, I think the young fella is going to learn a lot under Michael Cole, and he'll be all the better for it, being his understudy. You know, if it wasn't JR, then there's no better person to learn from than Michael Cole. You know, he's known as the voice of WWE as well now. He's getting into that legendary status of a JR and a Tony Schiavone and a Jerry the King Lawless, you know, and I think young Patrick will come along nicely. And I love Wade Barrett's commentary too. Like Bad News Barrett, I love him. He has an interesting dynamic. And Corey Graves, you know, he's pretty good too. I prefer Barrett over him though, but Corey Graves ain't no slump either. So I think they got a good mixture now. But that's all we got for you this week, folks. I hope you've enjoyed the show. I had to run through a little bit quicker today because I've got a lot to do, a lot on my plate at the moment. But no, we got through a lot of the topics. I would have loved to go for another hour and have Paul talk about Roman Reigns, of course.
I could go off on, and we all know I could go off on Roman right now. Roman is, yeah.
Mr. M.I. Look, he'll probably be MIA again now for another 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I showed my face, now I'm going away again.
That's right.
This is how they're making him, achieve that record because he's not freaking there,
Yep.
So, no, look, it is what it is, but I know they're trying their darndest to drag that whole situation out. That's just, as I said, it's come to a point where everybody's just like, and it's taken a back seat anyway. The Judgment Day storyline's kicked up and kicked over it, and, that's leading the way now. But, of course, before we get into outros, just want to thank everybody who's joined us tonight. The Rockin' One, of course, my girl Trinity, Pyro, Dreadpool, Temare, Six Slayer. Amazing to have you all in the chat. Of course, all the lurkers too. We appreciate you all. But Paul, did you want to let the fine folks know everywhere they can find you?
You can find me on X, the app formerly known as Twitter, at CerebralPaul1. You can find me on Twitch at CerebralPaul. You can find me right here on Mondays and Thursdays for sure, and sometimes Wednesdays on 4GQ TV. On Tuesdays, you can find me on the Xbox Ambassador channel at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Pacific, and Tuesday nights on the Retro Renegades, and on Fridays with Wasted with Wise. So.
There you go. Plenty of places to catch the great man himself. Oh, and he streams on Twitch as well, so do check out his...
Yeah, I need to do that more often, but there's been a lot going on in my life too. So.
Yeah, exactly, brother.
Yeah.
Exactly. Life gets in the bloody way, but we've got plenty of games for the man to stream, that's for sure, and I'm quite sure he can find even more time for Starfield. That game just keeps going and going.
Yeah.
But no, you can of course find me on the app formerly known as Twitter as well. It's SpookyTBG. SpookyTBG on the Xbox app. If you're on Xbox, you can still play with me, even though I'm on PC. Just hit me up on the app, and we could play some games together. I had to figure out the app the other day, actually, because I didn't know how to set it to, for some reason, had me offline, even though I was online. Then I figured it out, so now I show up as online, so people can actually see that I'm online. Other than that, you can find me every Monday and Wednesday evening. Mondays here with the Pop-Up Powerbomb on 4GQ TV, and Wednesdays with Backlog Bastards, also here on 4GQ TV. If you haven't hit the like or the subscribe button, please do. Apart from my two shows, there is a lot of amazing content and amazing content creators a part of this 4GQ TV channel. A lot of great podcasts. We've got an all-women's podcast that's going great guns now as well. Always got some interesting interviews. And even the man that was in the chat earlier, Dreadpool, he even pops in with some interesting stuff as well. Him and his wife are right into the Halloween, doing the horror thing right now, which is good. People like me and Paul that love our horror. I know it's not wrestling related, but Paul, we got a Terrifier 3, brother. Terrifier 3. We got
Oh, I know.
Trailer, man. Oh man, I'm excited.
The trailer's going to drop officially on November 1st in the theaters.
Yep.
With Terrifier 2 being back in the theaters as well as Terrifier 1, I believe.
Yes, yeah, so. They're both running. So if you're into your horror, check it out. And also, if you're into your horror too, before we get on out of here, check out Creepshow Season 4. It's fully out. Probably the best season yet.
Yep.
It's been really great so far. I've got a couple episodes to finish off, but phenomenal. It's got some good actors.
I posted about it, and the producer of Creepshow decided to follow me back. So
nice. Always love to hear
so
that.
At some point, I'll probably be hitting him up for an interview at some point. So.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. The first 3 seasons have been fantastic too, and I loved the movie.
But this season was absolute fire.
It was, bro, and I think it's just going to continue to get better. I'm glad the popularity of it is right up there too. Because this is something, because of the way they do it, it's an anthology horror. You could get many seasons out of it. So, no, do check that out too. But until next time, we will. I hope you enjoy the wrestling for the rest of the week, and enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. And we will see you all next time. Good night.